warm welcome once again on my behalf. We have a very interesting subject to talk about. I remember one of the slides that Mr. Sanjeev Sahu had shown where he spoke about how Colgate-Palmolive is reimagining its future. And the first slide talked about excelling in the fundamentals of manufacturing. We all know that no matter what the sector, no matter what the time, the fundamentals of manufacturing remain the same. Q, C, D, S, M. Quality, cost, delivery, safety, and morale. If I may add two more parameters to that list, and that is what we'll talk about today. The first one is agility, and the second one is sustainability. While we have to take care about quality, cost, delivery, safety, and morale, today it is equally important to be agile and to be sustainable. And technology plays a very important role there. So, thoda cliched hai, but I'll start with the lady on the panel. But before I ask you the question related to agility and environment, I want to ask you a question about your career. Ramya introduced you, and I don't know if people paid attention to that, but you were one of the first diploma holders in industrial safety in the northern region. That is a very interesting milestone. Tell us about this. I mean, what motivated you to take up something which is clearly a male-dominated area?
Yeah, sure, Mridul, in fact, yeah.
Can you hold it a little closer, please?
Is it okay now? Okay, is it okay now? Yeah, sure, Mridul. In fact, I'm basically a researcher turned a corporate slave, though. Moved in from being a researcher to a HSC lead for Mondelez now. So I started my career with shipping, and at that time I was basically an environmental science person. I did my MPhil in environmental science, spent a few years into my PhD study as well. And I was given task for safety at that time because shipping is where safety started from. And at that time, I'm talking about some 20 years back, so females were not the chosen ones in industrial safety. And I didn't have any diploma, no course in industrial safety, and that is when I thought I'll pursue a course in industrial safety, and ended up applying for industrial safety diploma from the Regional Labour Institute. I did have issues, they did not approve a female applying for that course. But finally I got through it and became the first female candidate to have passed out industrial safety at that time from the Regional Labour Institute, Faridabad. It was the first time that a female candidate passed out doing industrial safety from the North Belt. And after that it has been icebreaker. In fact, nowadays 50% of the seats are occupied by females now.
Brilliant. Let's give her a big round of applause for that. Thank you so much. Partha, I'll come right to you immediately. I mentioned about how agility and sustainability are equally important like the other parameters. And I mentioned that technology is going to play an important role in that. So as a technology provider, as a technology leader, how do you look at that aspect?
So when it comes to agile manufacturing, this is the right time. Organization, manufacturers, supply chain across, people need to adopt various technologies, whether it's on the OT infrastructure, whether it's on the digitalization, and the focus is on how do you bring in agility when it comes to, let's say, product development, basis the need of the customer. Our customers are smart enough. The information is available on their fingertips, right? They are very health conscious. Let's say, for example, they want to consume some foods, right? They want to define what kind of nutritional values they will be look for in those foods being produced, right? That throws up a challenge on the manufacturers to cater to these demands of the customers as fast as possible, coming up with different SKUs, And to do that, the entire manufacturing needs to be connected enterprise-wise, right? You talk about product lifecycle management, you talk about product development, R&D, manufacturing, then your demand, right? And logistics. Ideally, everything needs to be integrated, right? It is like a connected enterprise in real life That will give you the ability to produce faster and cater to these demands of your new general customers who are very smart now. So that's one aspect. Then let us also look at the OEMs and the machine builders who has to support these manufacturers. So they need to build their machines with the right technology so that they can render the flexibility which these manufacturers are looking at. And that's where the technology like, let's say, mechatronics can add value. Introducing robots into the manufacturing premises, right? Present day in the CPG industry, more than ever before, it's getting all this acceptance because it has got intrinsic ability to do things faster, right? Talking about robots, then, it's a responsibility for technology providers to deliver that end-to-end autonomous production logistics. And that's where the role of the robotics comes in. And going little beyond, like today we heard about AGV has been spoken about during the earlier part of the discussions. Now, autonomous mobile robots, AMRs are going to be the next frontier because of the additional flexibility it brings in without following any predefined path, right, or programs. It is self-intuitive and basis the available infrastructure, taking into consideration of the all the mechanical constraints, it can read out the path and ensure that things are done the fastest way, right? That's one part of it. And then, when it comes to the OEM again, let's say, how do you create those, support creating those SKUs faster? Let's say, for example, packaging at a much faster rate. So that's where the role of advanced motion control comes in, right? The innovative servo drives plays a very important role over there. And then the new genre of how do you manage your conveying applications, different sections of the conveyor, how they're integrated. I mean, the current conveyors, one section has got a dependency on others, right? And they go through a fixed path. To come out of that, the latest technologies are something like independent cart technology, which is design basis magnetic levitation. It is frictionless, and at the same time, one cart is independent in its operation than the other carts, right? So that gives flexibility when it comes to manufacturing faster, totality giving you agility across. So that's what adds value. Now, let's say you are zeroed down on AMR for your factory. Now you have to decide whether the count of AMRs are good enough for you to get this optimization. It doesn't mean, as many you deploy is going to give you the benefits. Sometimes 5 AMRs could be better than 7 AMRs. That's where the planning can be more agile and more effective when you bring in simulation tools. Let's say like Arena, which can do what-if analysis and let you know for your current mechanical constraint, optimal loads, and etc. Maybe 5 would be the best thing to achieve. So simulation, AMR, all together, autonomous production logistics will give you the capabilities to build faster. And at the same time, the role of supply chain comes as well, right? Even the supply chain needs to be completely robust. It needs to be integrated, right? There has been a lot of talks about how the supply chain can evolve further. It has to be a thinking supply chain, connected, which can collaborate across. And at the same time, it has to be cyber aware as well, right? It has to be cognitively enabled and it has to be comprehensive. Then only, the whole ecosystem connected, taking accountability across, it will make the whole system agile. And that is the key fundamental need. I mean, it's not a choice. People have to go for it. That's the way it is required.
It's not a choice anymore, right? Yes. So I'd like to come back to you, Rajbir, on this because he's presented the side from the technology provider point of view. As a manufacturing organization, how is Mondelez marrying digital with sustainability today?
Yeah, sure, Mritul. In fact, there's a lot of interplay between sustainability and digitization, actually. So we, at Mondelez, we've been literally working and looking forward to digitized solutions. Like Hemant rightly pointed out, that they can be smart emergency management systems. We've been working on it, actually. The smart systems can send SOS and help in employee safety. There may be areas in the plant where people may be working lonely, and in times of emergency, the team may not be able to reach out to them for help, and digitization has a big role to play. Like there are companies like Mondelez who are looking forward to such digitized solutions, and we are working on it actually. So I'm working on this project with this firm which is providing us a solution for AI-based solution for collision prevention on our docks. So it's a lot of digitization has a lot of role to play in safety, sustainability.
Understood. So a lot of the earlier speakers have also mentioned the importance of data-driven decision-making. Vishal, I'd like to understand how the food and beverages industry is actually making the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, data-driven is very important because OT network, IT network connectivity are there. They are dependent on each other. OT network produce a lot of data, right? And to create the best out of it, create the meaningful dashboards. So safety is again major concern, security basically rather, right? So to have that, to get the meaningful data out of it, to get the better efficiency from the data, to get the better ROI from the data, and analytics played a very big role too from the industry point of view, from the machine point of view, from the health point of view of the machine, so that we can make the predictive analysis of the machine. So big data plays a very big role, hand in hand with the security as well. As rightly mentioned, from the analytical point of view, we also do real-world analytics from the shop floor, what is going on, attendance point of view, if any zone where, labor need to go over there, it will give alarm. Safety belt is not, helmet is not there, then, you get alarm. So a lot of initiative from that perspective also, they are in the factory floor.
Okay. So I came across a very interesting quote this morning when I was just doing a little background for this panel. This quote is by an American novelist, poet, and very importantly, environmental activist called as Wendell Berry. He said people find it interesting to talk about food, but people don't find it interesting to talk about food production, and he finds it absurd. And that is where the maximum impact in terms of environment happens, even at the agricultural level. So, Mridul, I'm going to come to you for this one. So, what are some of the measures that manufacturing organizations can take to reduce the negative environmental impact, whether it is use of energy, whether it is use of water, and so on and so forth?
So, Namaskara, good afternoon everyone. So, there are three things you have said, I think. One is energy, one is water, and one is waste. So, in operations, nothing is waste. It is up to you to carve out the value in waste. And nobody likes to produce waste. You like to produce the finished good, which you can sell at a much higher valuation. So, fundamental to these three things, be it energy or be it wastage, that's going to help you in your bottom line, in your margins. So, yes, all companies, or the industry as a whole is working towards that, and primarily I think it is up to three different ways of how you can achieve this. One is fundamental engineering advantage or engineering efficiency. Example, petrol normal engine car will be having less mileage than a turbocharged petrol car. So that's a fundamental engineering advantage. So that is one. Second is optimization. That is where digital, industry 4.0 and all these tools come in. And third is reuse, reduce, those kind of thing. So if I see this, lately due the onset of data revolution, we are trying to connect everything through machine learning, through artificial intelligence. While that is good to do, while you should do that, but somewhere I feel we have lost out on the engineering part. Is there a fundamental way to reduce my energy consumption? So rather than working on that, lately I feel that there has been a rush towards data-driven approach. So data-driven approach or machine learning, that is good for non-deterministic outcomes. The one where you think, Bhagwan jane kya hoga? So that's where AI comes into play. But where you can determine So I can use Newton laws equation to determine how long it will take for my phone to drop to the ground. I can use machine learning also. Which is better depends on me. So I think lately, while the rush towards ML and data has been there, but I think currently engineering part has been missing, which I think as industry we should do. Now coming to the third part, which is water, and here regulations also play a big part. So I think last 2-3 years onwards, reuse of water, how well you can reuse it, that is on the rise. We can see multiple engineering companies getting contracts for effluent treatment plants, setting up large scale at different cities. Many companies also following on to that. So that is a fundamental good thing which is happening. Apart from that, energy, I can see one way you can reduce your carbon footprint, because that's the prime objective. You can do by consuming less energy, also by shifting to alternate source. And as we all know, solid fuel, recycled fuel, ethanol blending, all these are going in. So this is we have started late, but we are catching it up. So yeah.
So you have a point?
Yeah, I have a point over here. So in our organization, we are using a project called WOW, War on Waste, so which is very effective, and people get reward also when they come up with a new solution and new innovative ideas where we can bring down the waste, whatever is in the organization. So that's a very good initiative which is an ongoing project basically. Every quarter we recognize a person who will come up with a solution and all.
Okay, interesting. Since Mridul has just gone back to take a call, which I'm sure is very important, rather than asking questions to our panelists, I'm going to open the round for our audiences. And this time we are not going to ask you questions, but we are going to allow you to ask questions. So in case any of you have any questions for our panelists, or generally which any of our experts can answer, please feel free to ask those questions, or even if you have an observation to make in the context of what the discussion is going on, we'd really be happy to hear you out.
Any questions, panelists, whatever you feel like asking, getting a clarification, or they are doing a lot of best practices in manufacturing, वो पूछना है कैसे करते हैं, please feel free to ask.
And language is no barrier, so even if you want to ask it in Hindi, that's fine. No questions?
मैं जब पंजाब आया था तो बोले थे यहाँ पे लोगों के पास सवाल बहुत होते हैं, आज कोई पूछ ही नहीं रहा. Now I'm going to go to people and say.
वो usually रात को होता है ऐसा ही. दिन में नहीं होता. रात को बहुत सारे सवाल पूछते हैं लोग. वो जब टैंक फुल हो जाता है तो बहुत सारे सवाल आ जाते हैं. अभी खाली पेट है ना. Food. Interestingly, all our panelists are from the food industry. You know, Mondelez.
टेबल वाइज जा रहा हूँ, मैं randomly बोल रहा हूँ. सर आपके साल कुछ तो सवाल होंगे. I'm coming here first. Question.
Well, most of the things which was mentioned by the panelist, I also echo with the same thing. There is nothing like which is new or I am not aligned. But the one thing which I heard, like digital transformation is not only like instead of doing a physical thing, bringing an automation or some application to do those activities. It is also a centralized mind. See, there are multiple teams in a plant which works in different area. But when see it as an overview, a single mind which understands everything can give you the best answer. And that is digital. That is a central system which can conclude things more efficiently for you and more usable way. So I am also echoing with everything which panel said.
Very well point made. Thank you so much. Please identify yourself. I think they have not heard.
I am Ashish Jha. I take care for automation at Baddi Mondelez.
Oh, wonderful.
I'll have one more question before
Please,
you
please,
start.
sir. Please, sir.
Sir, जब मैं morning आपसे बात कर रहा था, you mentioned about lot of challenges which are there in the Baddi belt with about 2,500 companies and how they can. You okay? ठीक है, good. Question for the panel. What do you think can help manufacturing at large?
Yeah, hi. I am Rajneesh Vij. I'm director at HRD Agro. We're an MSME food company. I also represent BBNI, which is the Industry Association, as its vice president. The interesting thing in such seminars or gatherings is that most of the panelists are from large companies, MNCs, which is probably 5 to 10% our manufacturing ecosystem. But nobody bothers about the balance 90%. Nobody addresses the challenges which the MSME faces. You have divisions, you have teams, you have manpower, but what about a small company? We all talk about manufacturing 4.0 or plugging into the supply systems worldwide, becoming a manufacturing powerhouse. Can't leave out the 90% of the company.
Which has got a high turnover, high value, high market share. Because if you look into the goal of Indian economy, if it to be a large trillion economy, it has to be across, right? And specific to your point, like for example, you spoke about number of SKUs of products, right? So in those cases, we can get engaged with a detailed, engagement to understand what are your current operational challenges, right? Current bottlenecks into the process or in the operation, and what is the goal that you want to achieve, right? And with that consulting experience, we can bring in technologies. Like for example, you spoke about like the lot of people who are working at different levels, right? If you have to, make the entire system agile, address your current need and concern, then the people who are working on the ground level at the shop floor, they should be equipped with the right technology and the right resources, right? For example, in the digital world, how do we create that connected worker piece, right? Some part of the plant, maybe an operator is demonstrating his best of expertise, knowledges, troubleshooting to help uptime. Now, utilizing technologies like E4 Expert Capture, we can document those best practices of an operator who is doing the best, right? Make it available as a repository of information for the rest of the operators who can learn from that, and they can start building competency over there. And certain point in time, they'll be doing the entire processes, handling, maintenance, and operation with the same dexterity which the best of the operators has been doing. That's something can be deployed, right, at a foundational level. And then, going up across the layer for IT/OT integration, deploying the best of the design and the infrastructure. I mean, you are designing something for the current need, right? But at the same time, you also have aspirations to, scale up, right? So whether your design infrastructure, which you are building up now, is going to be giving you the flexibility, because it has to be flexible and fast. If it is not flexible, you can be fast for the time being, but with the needs of the future, you cannot. Best-in-class performance today may not be the best for future, right? So it needs to be designed that way. And we have got resources, technology, consulting experience to spend time with your organizations or MSMEs and giving our guidance and thoughts over there to solve your current challenges. I'm sure your challenges would be like different from others. So we can bring in the specificity of those. To solve those, we can bring in the technology which will be most efficient and relevant for yourself, right? Whether it is on the OT, digital, integration, right? Cyber, everything together, we can address that.
I'm sure you can sit across the table.
Absolutely,
And since he also heads an association.
And we can even encourage you to have some spending some time with the booths where we have deployed technologies which are, manufacturer or the brand agnostic. This is for everyone. So let's spend some time over there. And we'd love to do that.
Thank you so much, Partha, for taking that up. Mridul, I'd like to come to you here. And it's kind of a continuation of what the gentleman has asked here. When you talk about sustainability, you cannot talk about sustainability in isolation. It has to be across the ecosystem. We heard in the morning that wonderful quote which mentioned that the competition is not amongst organizations anymore. The competition is amongst supply chains. So how does an organization like ITC ensure that sustainability doesn't remain only with ITC? It also trickles down to its supply chain, which would mostly have a lot of MSMEs.
So to answer this, I'll say कि be it any resource, that is a shared thing. So, and it is the biggest operating risk for any organization that its resource, be it water or energy, fossil fuels or any other kind of resource, is getting depleted or is getting hampered in some way or the other. So I'll take example of water. So ITC as an organization, as we are taking AWS, that is Alliance for Water Stewardship. It's a big certification agency. We deploy them. What it does, it evaluates your operating business risk. Suppose if I have a plant, so for that example, my plant that is being undertaken in this AWS certification for this financial year. So it looks at if you are running a plant or a business, water as a resource, how well you are mitigating the risk. Now the water risk can be of many ways. One, availability of water. So if there is no available water, I cannot run my process. Availability of water at my supplier end. If, example, I need maida wheat. So if I don't have wheat, I cannot produce and sell Ashirvad Atta. As simple as that. So how well your supply chains are prepared to face the water challenge. It even evaluates how much water the farmer is going to use at what end, what is the available resources of water at his end, what is the operating business risk at his end. Suppose, right now we are in middle of changing climate. कभी भी बारिश हो जाती है, कभी भी सूखा पड़ जाता है. And it's not the correct order. When it's supposed to be raining, it is not raining. When it's not supposed to be raining, it is raining. So in those cases, how well you are mitigating the risk, that is being evaluated. Even it encompasses your community also. So how well you are mitigating the risk of any waterborne diseases being affecting your manpower. So if risk mitigation is not just a word, the devil is in the details. How well you are calculating the risk, estimating it at each and every node, right from your farmer supplying wheat to your operator or manpower coming to your factory, even to your salesman who is getting the actual revenue generation. How well you are mitigating that. So I think avenues like these, programs, systematic programs like these is the need of the hour. And as soon as we can get it, it is all about sharing the resources. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mridul. Vishal, I'd like to come to you now. When we talk about agility, since you are an IT guy, you bring that perspective here. So, when it comes to IT systems, agility is something that you actually build into it. Yeah, but that's not the case with OT. Yeah, so how do you marry IT and OT to ensure that the business organization as one entity is agile enough to respond to the market dynamics?
This is very important basically because agility plays hand in hand with OT and IT network, right? So OT produces a lot of data every second, and to make the meaningful data out of it, you would need a storage and you need analytic tools to get the best out of it, so that we can reduce down the increase the production or remove the overheads. Maintenance, again, a very important role from the machinery point of view. If you get the right, sensor in place, you will get the monitoring of the, OT machines. Spare parts, again, is a huge cost. If you get the right team, you can plan the things accordingly. So the entire, life cycle of this OT plays very, big role over here. And IT, on top of it, security again plays a very big role from the security point of view. Right now, most of the attacks happening over the same, OT networks or the supply chain related, organization a lot. Most of the 80% of the, attacks over here. So to overcome all these things, you have to be plan the things of, with the providers, with the OEMs, to understand how it will work. How it will easily gel into your IT network. It should be secure enough. System hardening need to be there. In OT networks, working is a little different compared to the IT network, right? So you have to understand both the things. Integration with both the things, again with the help of, applications already displayed over here, is very important to know the health of the, OT network, your conveyor belts and whatnot, basically. So, absolutely. So that is very important over here.
Partha, you want to add something to that?
I just want to add here, like what Vishal just said, it's a very relevant, like
Mike.
you are deploying the best of the technologies, right? Simulation, digitalization across, digital twins, so on and so forth. But in the whole process, in the whole design, if you have ignored, let's say, the OT cyber security, it can be catastrophic, right?
Right.
One incident in cyber can create havoc from the point of view of your being the most agile company goal. That one incident can throw you out of gears. Maybe you've been the forerunner, but one incident will take you right to the back, right? So all your dreams and visions and aspirations of being the most agile company gets impacted. So cyber security has to be at a design stage. I mean, gone are the days when people used to think like, in my premises, my system.
But I want to interrupt you here, Partha.
Yeah.
You said cybersecurity has to be at the design stage, but a lot of organizations work with legacy equipment, legacy systems. So how do you marry modern technology with those legacy systems?
Exactly. So what we are evaluating thoroughly with the legacy systems, what is the business risk? What is impending, right, for me? So if you have to come out of that, if you have to come out of a situation where cyber can create a big hole in multi-million dollars in the revenue, then I have to do those capital investments. As a cyber consultant, we do a study of the entire OT infrastructure, finding it out whether it is up to the mark, what the readiness versus IEC 62443. We suggest those legacy systems upgradation, and then coming to the entire process of segmentation, DMs and everything. But fundamentally, the OT system has to be updated. And that's been our core philosophy when we are, with the current scenario of agile manufacturing, whenever we discuss with any of our customers, we bring in our consulting experience, basis the discussions that have been giving with a lot of customers globally in the CPG industries. And we suggest it has to be done this way. Otherwise, there could be huge revenue leakage. Right? That's our summation and recommendation here. Do it at the design level, make it, make it a structure which can test the times, or whenever these attacks are there, at least you have a mechanism to isolate those and isolate those rightly and fast, so that it does not cascade to other different levels and giving you those securities. That's critically important.
Yeah. So I want to add one more point over here. You talk about the legacy OT systems, and so like for example, if any system is connected with Windows XP as operating system, so USB is one of the vulnerable stuff. You can block you can put the policy on that system also, which is though isolated, but sometimes people put the drives and all, so you can block those. These are the basic system hardening guideline which need to be also follow along with the IT network, basically. And he rightly said, rest of the thing is very important, because one single vulnerability caused to a drastic, problem for the organization, supply chain, everything.
And I think this is pretty much aligned to the ESG goals, right?
Absolutely.
The governance that you need to have, ensuring that all your critical technology informations are secured, right?
Correct.
And that's where the cyber role comes in to support you with the governance part as well, right?
Yep, that's true.
Rajveer, is there a way to link sustainability KPIs with this? Because I think that is something very important for organizations today.
Yeah, in fact, very rightly said. No, there needs to be a complete, no, industrial
Integrated
symbiosis.
approach to that, yeah.
Yeah. It has to be like a complete symbiosis, like ESG and all. There are KPIs which companies are monitoring and reporting. So data safety, data security, all comes, to play a big role.
Mridul, again, I'll come back to you with a very similar question that I asked you previously. Here again, we are talking about the IT, OT, security in terms of one organizations, but data is also with your partners. How do you ensure the security of that data? Because that is equally important when it comes to becoming an agile organization.
So there are two things. One is agility and one is control. And the bad part is both are inversely proportional to each other. In the name of agility, you can share everything and then be able to share nothing. But yeah, so I think what data are you sharing? In what amount? The user always knows. And that, apart from say software hardening and hardware hardening, which is proper establishing the industry standards over the same, I think if basics are done and no one stupidly just share anything, I don't think it is so easy to breach the basic encryptions. Even if we see most of the incidents that happens, they are not because of some high-fundu hacker has hacked into that system of Pentagon and you have lost money or business. It is because you have ignored the basics. So if we have stick to the basics of ensuring basic things like don't insert any wrong pen drive, those are simple things, but they matters a lot. Even right now, if you see most of the phone scams, they are phishing in nature. Rarely we see somebody has breaked 128-bit encryption and hacked a global system. The only thing which I can recollect was once upon a time there was an Apple ka base storage data of all the users that got breached. But that is once in a while. There is always someone who is sitting there who is smarter than everyone. He is going to break it. So you cannot mitigate your risk towards that. But you have to mitigate your risk towards the majority of the crowd. That I think the industry standards and example for the systems which we have placed, like Factory Talk, they always have a basic level of hygiene, basic level of restriction, basic level of firewall, that is there. So I don't think that can be bypassed so easily.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a very interesting answer and very practical too. Okay, so we are almost at the end of our panel discussions. I'm going to give 1 minute each to all the panelists to share some of the trends that they foresee in terms of agility and sustainability. Yeah, starting with Mridul.
As far as sustainability is concerned, I can see renewable sources, alternate fuels being the upcoming big thing. So that is one. The genie is out of the cage for AI and ML. So that is going to be the buzzword for the next 10 to 15 years. Data science will keep on trending and you can analyze whatever we want. There will come a time where the plethora of data will restrict the incremental rate of improvement, but I think we are far behind that. Till the time there is a fundamental engineering or physics improvement regarding say energy, fuel or whatever, I think optimization is the way to go for the next 10 to 15 years. That's the not low lying, that's a fallen fruit. You just to pick it up.
Very beautifully said. Rajbir, what trends do you foresee?
In fact, yes, we talked about COP26 where companies are like, targeting to go for scope 3 global greenhouse gas emission reductions. So, a lot of onus on digitization to support industries for achieving those targets. So that is something that AI, that is something IoT, all should be able to support industries in achieving those targets.
So if I have to ask you a question, slightly digressing, you mentioned some of these technologies. Would Mondelez go ahead and implement these kind of technologies?
Yeah, we do have our targets for 2030. We do have our targets for 2050, and we're looking forward to these options on digitization to support us with that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, point for you. Yeah, Vishal.
Yeah, as I think most of the point already, covered. We also have similar type of goals internally. As I said, WOW is a project, Waste on War, as well as sustainability, where we are also looking after, energy efficiency of the motors, for example, so which will generate, less, power, basically wastage, and give more power. Similarly, solar panels, again, one of them. So renewable energy is our focus. Our plants are, we are, going towards those kind of decision, which we already made. We recently come up with a new plant with all these, sustainability is top of the, agenda, even in the board meetings as well. Not only limited to the plant, for the overall organization point of view as well.
Yeah, it's a overarching
Yeah, it's an overall,
approach.
yeah, correct.
Partha, I leave it to you to conclude.
Yes, sure. So sustainability is, it's a key necessity now. I think, ad nauseam, it has been established that we can't keep aloof from this, right?
Absolutely.
And the whole, the manufacturer and the supplier chain, everyone has got accountability in this thing, right? Scope 1 and scope 2 for one manufacturer could be scope 3 for someone else, right? So when it comes to the entire supply chain, they have to manufacture responsibly, right? They have to see how to mitigate the emissions in different levels, right? So that the scope 3 can be minimized. And this needs to be reported, leveraging some of the tools so that they can meet the regulatory compliance. And in fact, there is a demo booth here on continuous emission monitoring system, which gives you the guidance on what's your current status quo. And there's a control loop back to the process with the guidance on how do you minimize that without cutting down production. So that's important. And on the transportation and the fleet side, a lot of people are deploying the fleet management on the supply chain and logistics, right? Best of the fleet management, it needs to be integrated with, let's say, for example, the heat map of the city, so that, the chauffeurs or the drivers can be guided for the specific and optimized route, so that the fuel that you burn is going to be less. It is actually creating less footprint in the environment, right? That's pretty much important. And on the waste, the water, then, air, gas, electricity, there are technologies available to minimize those. Consulting experience, energy manager, everything put together can make it sustainable. So it's a responsibility across. It's an accountability for everyone. Nobody can run away from this. So collectively we can achieve this, right?
On that note, thank you so much, Partha. Can we have a big round of applause for all our panelists? Lots of food for thought, but now we also have food for our stomach. So I decide to close the...
Niranjan, before Ramya gets into closing of the event, see, feedback is very essential for us to improve ourselves, as well as what kind of discussion points we can get into these forums, as well as the kind of technology which will be of interest to you. Kya topics hai? There's a feedback form. We've got about 30% feedback as of now, which is the lowest in anywhere in India jahan humne kiya hai. Okay? And I don't want that record to be in name of Chandigarh. So request hai, please, ye QR code hai aapke samne. Phone lijiye. If you can scan the QR code, give a feedback. And your feedback is very essential for us. So please give your feedback. And also, while going out after lunch, we also have a token of appreciation for all of you to have spent time over here and to have given this feedback to us. So thank you so much, and it's a request. Please do share your feedback. बस आपको एक बहुत छोटा सा exercise है. It takes about 1 minute for you. Just scan and give your feedback to us. Thank you. Ramya, over to you.